I should have known something was wrong when she started wearing perfume to the grocery store. But nothing could have prepared me for that night. It was a Thursday, the kind of forgettable weekday where life is supposed to feel stable. We were sitting on opposite ends of the couch, her scrolling through her phone like I was just another piece of the furniture. I asked her what she wanted for dinner, and without even looking at me, she muttered, "I already ate." That was the first lie. I just didn't know it yet. The second one came minutes later, when her phone lit up. I caught the name Tyler S., with a fire emoji next to it. She didn't flinch. Just turned her screen face down like it was muscle memory. My gut twisted. 8 years together, and I suddenly felt like a stranger in my own home. I waited. I played it cool. But inside, something was unraveling. That night, while she was taking a bath, I unlocked her laptop. The same laptop I bought her 2 birthdays ago when she said she wanted to write a book. Guess she was writing something all right. What I found wasn't a book. It was a storm. Hundreds of messages. Photos. Voice notes. Videos. There was no mistaking it. She'd been seeing him for at least 7 months. Hotels, getaways, midday hookups while I thought she was at yoga. She called him my escape. She told him I was boring. That I worked too much. That I forgot how to touch her. And the part that broke something in me? She said I was too safe. Too safe. I sat there in the dark, in the house I paid for, with the ring still on my finger, reading how my wife, was out there living some second life with a man who thought stringing words like deep connection and wild energy made him special. He was 29. His abs looked like they were carved out of narcissism. His Instagram bio had a lightning bolt and the words Alpha Energy Coach. And this was who she called soulmate. I didn't say a word that night. I didn't even go upstairs. I slept in my truck in the driveway like some kind of ghost of myself. At 3:17 a.m., I watched the upstairs light turn off. She hadn't even come looking for me. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just cheating. This was abandonment wearing lipstick and lying with a smile. She was gone, long before I even realized it. But she didn't know what I'd found yet. And I wasn't about to tip my hand. Not yet. I had a plan forming. Not out of rage. Not even out of sadness. It was something colder. Something final. Because after 8 years of loyalty, sacrifices, and putting her before everything, including myself, I wasn't going to shout or cry or beg. I was going to walk out of her life like a ghost. And I was going to make sure she felt that silence like a storm. The next morning, she was humming in the kitchen. Humming. Like she hadn't just emotionally torched our marriage. Like I hadn't spent the night unraveling everything I thought was real. She had a glass of orange juice in one hand and her phone in the other. "You're up early," she said casually, not even turning to look at me. I stared at her for a second too long. I think she noticed. "What?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "You look like you saw a ghost." I just nodded. "Didn't sleep well." She went back to sipping her juice. No follow-up. No concern. Not even a fake one. It was like she was already living in another house, another world. I watched her body language. Loose, confident, like a teenager who knew she'd never get caught sneaking out. She showered, dressed, and left for Pilates. That's what she told me. But I checked the tracking app I'd secretly installed on her phone the night before. She went straight to his condo. The one downtown with the rooftop view and the overpriced rent. While she was with him, I was home packing. I didn't need much, just the essentials. Some clothes, my documents, my laptop. I left the wedding photo on the dresser. The one where she smiled like I was the only man on earth. Now, all I could see was how fake that smile looked. How rehearsed. Before I walked out, I did one last thing. I opened her laptop again, attached all the screenshots, messages, and photos I'd found, and dropped them in a folder on the desktop titled, "Since You Love Transparency." Then I left. No note. No warning. No goodbye. She came home to silence. No car in the driveway. No shoes by the door. No husband in the kitchen waiting to ask how her class went. Just a folder full of truth staring back at her from the screen. I didn't answer her calls. Not that day. Not the day after. Not for a month. The first few voicemails were frantic. Then angry. Then quiet. Then came the texts, paragraphs of justification, twisted apologies, manipulative half-truths. "I didn't mean to hurt you. It just happened. You've been distant. I needed to feel alive." All the classic lines, recycled from every soap opera and broken marriage in history. But I didn't flinch. I didn't respond. The thing about betrayal is, when it's deep enough, you don't scream. You don't cry. You just stop feeling anything. 1 year passed. I moved to Denver. Got a new job, new place, new number. I started lifting again, reading again, breathing again. I even met someone, months later. Not serious, but real. Real in the way pain teaches you how to spot fakes faster. And then, one morning, she was gone. Blocked me on everything. No text. No closure. Just gone. She ghosted me. After I'd forgiven her in silence, after I walked away with dignity, she vanished like I was the one who burned everything down. I stared at my phone, scrolled through the old voicemail she left me, still saved, unopened. I didn't feel anger anymore. Just something colder. A kind of clarity. That girl I married? She died the moment she started lying. The woman I left behind? I don't even think she knew what love was. And the man I was before all this? He's gone too. And thank God for that. 3 months after she disappeared from my digital life, I got a letter. A real one. Handwritten. On cream-colored paper, sealed in an envelope that smelled like her old perfume. I stared at it for 10 minutes before opening it. She wrote like nothing had happened. Hey, Matthew, it began. I know this is probably unexpected. Unexpected? That she'd vanish after a year of chaos and lies, only to reappear in my mailbox like a bad memory with a stamp? She rambled about how she'd gone through a spiritual reset, how she'd done deep inner work, how she realized she'd sabotaged the best thing in her life, me. She didn't say the word cheated, not once, just danced around it like the paper might catch fire if she admitted the truth. There was a line that stood out, though. I'm finally ready to be the woman you always believed I was. I laughed out loud. Actually laughed. Sitting at my kitchen table, holding that letter in my hand, I realized just how far gone she was. Ready now? Ready after she dragged our marriage through the mud? After she kissed another man in hotel lobbies and moaned into microphones he probably called tantric tools? I folded the letter and tossed it in the drawer. A week later, she showed up. At my office. I was walking back from lunch when I saw her standing near reception, tight black dress, sunglasses still on, pretending like she belonged there. Matthew, she said, like it was a scene from some rom-com. Can we talk? I didn't break stride. Just walked right past her, toward the elevator. She followed. Please. Just 5 minutes. I stepped inside the elevator. She hesitated at the door. Matt, don't do this. I didn't say a word. Just raised my hand and let the doors close between us. That's the thing about silence. It's not just a weapon. It's a sentence. But she didn't give up. 3 days later, she emailed my boss, pretending to be a recruiter asking for a meeting. He saw right through it and forwarded me the message. You got an ex playing spy, he joked. I shook my head. She's not even that smart. But truthfully, I knew what this was. She was unraveling. Because for the first time, she wasn't the one walking away. I was. And not in anger. Not in bitterness. Just with finality. When a person ghosts you, it's usually to escape consequences. But when she ghosted me, I knew it was her last move, her final grasp for control. Because she couldn't stand the fact that I didn't beg, that I didn't shatter, that I didn't try to get her back like the broken little man she probably assumed I was. And I think that drove her insane. But me? I finally felt peace. Not joy. Not triumph. Just quiet. And after everything, after all the lies, the betrayal, the gaslighting, the damn lightning bolt coach, I'd take quiet any day. A month after the office stunt, I got another envelope. This time it wasn't a letter. It was a wedding invitation. Her name was on it. And his. Tyler S. I stared at it for a long time, turning it over in my hands like it might vanish. Like it wasn't real. The ceremony was set in Sedona. Sunset vows, desert cliffs, bohemian nonsense. She always wanted something spiritual and wild. Now she had it, with a man who wore beads and talked about energy cycles. There was a handwritten note inside. No hard feelings. I thought you'd want to know I've found my real happiness. My real happiness. It was like she had erased our 8 years with one flick of a pen. As if I'd just been some long layover on her way to enlightenment. But here's what stuck with me. She sent it to my new address. One I never gave her. She had to dig for it. That told me everything. She wasn't over it. She wanted me to know she moved on. She wanted control over the final chapter, as if marrying her affair partner suddenly redeemed her betrayal. I didn't go, obviously. But I did pour myself a drink that night, sat on my balcony, and let the bitterness rise and fall. Not anger. Just the weight of reality. She wasn't mine anymore. But more importantly, she never really was. I saw that now. The woman I married was a facade. A costume stitched together from charm, sarcasm, and neediness disguised as affection. And I was too blinded by love, or what I thought was love, to see it unraveling thread by thread. I remembered how she used to roll her eyes every time I talked about work, how she mocked my music taste around her friends, how every compliment she gave had an expiration date, followed by a joke or jab that cut deeper than it should have. She'd always been like this. I just didn't want to believe it. But betrayal has a funny way of clarifying your memories. It edits out the illusions, makes room for the truth. And now, with her off playing bride in some desert ceremony, I finally felt something close to freedom. The kind you don't celebrate with champagne. The kind you feel when you exhale and realize you've been holding your breath for years. I didn't post anything about it. Didn't make some bitter Facebook status. Didn't call friends to gossip. I just kept living. Quietly. Cleanly. Because the best revenge isn't noise. It's peace. And she'll never know what that feels like. 2 weeks after the wedding, I got a message from an unknown number. No name. Just a single sentence. Hope you're doing well. I didn't respond, but I stared at it for a while. It wasn't a friendly check-in. It was bait. A test to see if I'd bite. See if she still had a grip. She didn't. I left it on read. 2 days later, another text. Not sure if you heard, but things have been complicated. There it was. Cracks already showing. Barely 2 weeks into holy matrimony, and she was already fishing for sympathy from the man she ghosted, betrayed, and humiliated. I didn't even want to know what happened. But of course, curiosity's a persistent little itch. So I looked. Her Instagram was private now. His was not. Gone were the sunset yoga selfies and shirtless motivational rants. No power couple hashtags. No wedding highlights. Just a blank page with a new post from 3 days ago. A blurry photo. A smashed phone. Caption, when trust dies, so does everything else. That was enough. I didn't need more. She traded stability for sparks. Fireworks always fade. And I guess hers ended in smoke. I wish I could say I felt satisfaction. That her downfall tasted sweet. But the truth is, all I felt was nothing. A clean kind of nothing. The kind you get when you finally detox a poison from your system. She was no longer in my bloodstream. No longer in my future. Just a lesson with a name. And then one evening, I ran into her brother, Jason. He was at the gas station. We locked eyes, both paused. He looked different, older, a little tired. He walked over. Matt, he said, almost cautiously. Didn't expect to see you. Same. He hesitated, then added, you dodged a bullet, man. I nodded. Said nothing. She's not well, he went on. I mean, she made her choice. But things with that guy? Total mess. Money issues. Some legal stuff, too. I didn't ask. Didn't need to know the details. But he looked at me with this strange mixture of pity and respect. You were always good to her, he said quietly. I think about that a lot. I just said, I was. That was the end of it. He got in his car. I got in mine. But something in me shifted during that drive home. Closure didn't come from confrontation or revenge. It came from seeing her world collapse without me having to lift a single finger. And that's when I knew I had truly let her go. Not out of mercy. Out of survival. 3 months passed without another word from her. Until one rainy Saturday morning, I opened my inbox and there it was, an email titled, "Please read this." I almost deleted it without opening. But part of me wanted to see what version of the truth she'd try this time. So I clicked. It was long. Over 1,000 words of emotional backflips. She wrote about miscommunication, about how she rushed into things, about how the soul gets confused when it's wounded. She said she didn't expect me to forgive her, but she hoped I would understand. The most offensive line? I think I needed to destroy us to realize how real it was. As if breaking a marriage was some form of enlightenment. As if all the betrayal, all the lies, all the disgust she flung in my direction could be swept into a poetic realization. She ended the email with a soft plea. If you ever want to talk, even just as friends, I'm here. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have words. I had too many. But none that were worth giving to someone who already sold our story for sparks and Instagram captions. Instead, I forwarded the email to a new folder, Unfinished Ghosts. Because that's what she was now. Not a villain. Not a victim. Just a ghost in my story. One I stopped chasing a long time ago. I never told anyone about that message. Not my friends. Not my new girlfriend. Especially not her. Yes, there was someone new. Her name was Anna. We met at a bookstore, of all places. Cliché, I know. But it didn't feel like a rebound. She had this quiet energy, not loud or needy. She didn't interrupt, didn't test, didn't compare me to anyone. She just listened. And over time, I found myself doing the one thing I hadn't done in years. Trust. It didn't come easy. I questioned everything at first. The way she laughed at my jokes, the way she held my hand like it meant something. Part of me kept waiting for the shoe to drop, for the familiar sting. But it never did. Anna wasn't perfect. That wasn't the point. She was real. And she never made me feel like I had to perform to be loved. One night, we were watching a movie, and she paused it just to say, "You're safe with me." That one sentence almost broke me. Because no one had ever said that before. Not even the woman I married. That's when I realized the full weight of everything I'd carried for 8 years. All the pretending, all the bending, all the apologizing for things that weren't my fault. I had mistaken survival for love. And finally, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was living. A year after her wedding, almost to the day, I got a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something in me said, "Pick up." Matthew. The voice was shaky, almost hoarse. It was her. For a second, I didn't say a word. I just let the silence hang there. "It's me," she said. I didn't know if you'd pick up." I didn't respond. Just waited. She took a breath. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called. I needed to say something and then I'll disappear again. I promise." I could hear something in the background. Not music. Not traffic. Just emptiness. Like she was sitting alone in a quiet apartment. "I'm not with him anymore," she continued. "It ended. Badly. You were right. About everything." I still said nothing. "I lost a lot, Matt. He emptied my savings. Got violent. It got really dark. I've been trying to pull myself together, but," her voice cracked, "I just keep thinking about you. About what we had." The word we hit like a dull blade. "There is no we anymore," I finally said. Silence. Then she whispered, "I know." She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She just breathed, slow and quiet. And for a second, I wondered if she was hoping I'd offer her a way back. A chance. Even just a thread of comfort. I didn't. "Are you happy?" she asked softly. "I am," I said. And it wasn't a lie. "I just wanted to hear that," she said. "You deserve it." Then she hung up. No goodbye. No drama. Just a soft click. Like a chapter closing. I stood there for a moment, phone still in my hand, feeling light. Not because she was hurting. Not because she was gone again. But because I wasn't chained to her pain anymore. Her mess was hers now. And mine, my life, my peace, my future, was clean. That night, Anna noticed I was quieter than usual. She didn't pry. She just leaned into me on the couch, her head against my shoulder, and said, "You okay?" I kissed the top of her head and nodded. "Yeah," I said. Better than I've been in a long time. Because I was. I wasn't the man who begged for answers anymore. I wasn't the one who obsessed over closure. I was just a man who walked through the fire, carrying pieces of himself, and found out that the parts he rebuilt were stronger than anything he lost. 6 months after that final call, I got married again. It wasn't a grand wedding. No fireworks, no 100-person guest list, no Instagram filters. Just 30 people, a small garden, and the kind of silence that feels like home. Anna stood there in a simple white dress, barefoot in the grass, her smile steady, genuine. When I looked into her eyes, I didn't see a performance. I didn't see manipulation. I didn't see someone waiting for something better to come along. I saw peace, safety, a life. During our vows, I didn't talk about forever. I talked about choice. About waking up every day and choosing to love someone. Choosing them even on the hard days. Choosing them when it's quiet. When it's boring. When there's no audience. That was something my first wife never understood. She thought love was excitement, chaos, electricity. Something to chase. Something to burn in. But fire doesn't build homes, it burns them down. And she burned ours to ash. But I thank her for it now. Because if she hadn't betrayed me, I would have never rebuilt myself. Never peeled back the layers of a version of me that only existed to be enough for someone who never appreciated it. If she hadn't walked away, I would have never learned that love isn't about convincing someone to stay. It's about knowing when to let them go and refusing to lose yourself in the process. People ask me sometimes, what would you say to her now if you saw her? And honestly, nothing. Not because I'm bitter, but because some ghosts don't deserve words. They deserve silence. A silence that says, I survived you. And I built something better after you left. So here I am. A man who was once lied to, cheated on, humiliated, and ghosted. Now standing in the sunlight with a woman who sees me, truly sees me, and never makes me question my worth. If you're reading this and you've been through it too, if someone shattered you, made you feel small, disposable, remember this. You don't have to get revenge. You don't have to chase closure. You just have to rise. Because the best revenge is a life that doesn't include them.